Who doesn't want to live a life that they love? But you may have to refine yourself to get there. And our guest today is going to show you exactly how. Welcome to Havilah and Friends. I'm Havilah Malone, and every week I am bringing you my extraordinary, phenomenal, super accomplished friends who are experts in business, who are motivational speakers, mindfulness teachers, celebrities, and so much more to be able to talk about the things that are important to you. And today we're talking about a topic that is so very important, which is how to get unstuck and be able to move forward to create the things in life that you want. And so I'm bringing on a really good friend of mine who is a personal coach, a blogger, and motivational speaker, Misty Summers. Misty, hey!
Hi, sweetheart. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my God, it is my absolute pleasure. Like Misty and I met, we were both speaking at a conference, this really awesome women's empowerment event called Reclaiming the Goddess Within, because yes, we are goddesses. And
it was fantastic.
Right?
It was.
As Misty was on stage and she was sharing her story, and I got to learn something that she was actually part of the team and the right-hand woman of one of my favorite authors of all time, who is Don Miguel Ruiz. And you may be familiar with the book, The Four Agreements. This was like a life-changing book for me.
It is. It is for a lot of people. Yes.
Yes. It really got me thinking about like, whoa, I'm kind of living in a lie. Like I'm living in this world that's been created for me. And of course we know that it takes teamwork to make a dream work. And this woman is one of powerful woman. And even in her own story and the value that she was able to bring to the audience, I was like, I need to know her and she need to know me. And so I'm so glad that you were able to come on and join us today to talk about this whole piece of getting unstuck, because a lot of us get there.
Yes. Absolutely. And working with Miguel and his boys and his family was incredible. It was unexpected the way that it all came about, but we just all connected immediately. And I love his teachings. They resonated with me in a way that nothing I'd ever heard in my life resonated, right? And he brings you right to the truth every single time. He puts that right in front of your face, and you can look or you can look away. You always have that option, right? But I really wanted to find my own voice and a way to share those ancient truths, but I wanted to share them in my own way. And that's where Life Refinement came from. It was a way that I could talk about it rather than, teaching Toltec wisdom, which is incredible, but I wanted it to have a voice that was mine. And so that's where Life Refinement birthed from, and started coming together this year, really. New concepts coming together, but it's really stuff that we already know. It's stuff that we know we need to do. We just don't know we need to do it until you say it to someone and the realization comes in, and then they have an opportunity to change their life.
I love that. Someone could literally be of the mindset that, hey, I'm already a part of something really big. I'm already a part of this team and this brand that's really working and something that I believe in, and just say, you know what, I'll just stay here. You know what, I'll just keep doing what I'm doing right now and not answer that calling, answer that voice that's inside of our heads that says, you know what, I have a little bit more for you. There's a little bit different direction I want you to go into. And it's time for you to blossom and build something of your very own, because there's people who need to hear your voice. And so to step into that place of power, to step into that place of unknown, because who knew like what would unfold or happen, but you did it. So how were you able to, like, what were the things, the tools that you put in place to be able to go from point A to point B and do it with such grace, because you're killing it?
Thank you. Honestly, I had to look back and say, how did I do it? How did I get from living a life that I felt like I was living for everyone else, or a life that I felt conditioned that I have to live, to living a life that I absolutely love? And how did I do that? What was my process like? And it was going back and looking and breaking down each phase of my life that I felt like I needed to step into to get to where I am now. And so putting that together, it just kind of birthed itself. How I would view it in my mind made sense. So I teach it like fuel, focus, and function, right? So your fuel is like your connection to all that is, your connection to source, call it God if you want, something beyond what you are, right? And your focus is all about your mind, mastering the mind, taking everything and shifting it into alignment with where you want to be. And your function is like your hustle. If you're out there doing it, you're taking action, you're making it happen in a physical way. But without one of those components, you know, like we were talking before we went live just now, and a lot of people are out in the hustle, right? A lot of people are out doing a lot of things. They're putting forth a lot of action. They feel like I'm exhausting myself. I'm doing all the right things I'm supposed to do. So I teach function as taskless daily organization, because if you're not going after your dream every day, you know, doing something can be really small, but every day you're just taking a step and taking a step towards your dream, right? Education, because I always want to learn. I never want to stop learning. I never want to stop growing or expanding my perspective. And I love getting educated from other people, like directly. We live in a time right now, never before. You can get access to anything you want online from your phone. You don't even have to own a computer. I mean, 10 years ago, we didn't have this, right? As growing up, we didn't have what our kids have. You can teach yourself anything you want. You can learn from any human on the planet. It's incredible. So I taught myself how to build websites. I taught myself marketing, branding. You can take any course on anything. To me, that's just fascinating. My brain just gets super excited about learning and all of that. But,
me too. Like, I am a lifelong learner. Like, I am always have a book in my hand, obviously, or, you know, at some conference or with a coach, because even coaches need coaches. Like, I'm a firm believer in that. Like, the growth process should never stop, ever.
Yeah, absolutely. Networking, collaborating, because if you can't talk about your dream, you can't share it with other people, then how is it going to grow? How is it going to get that combined effect of, you know, multiple dreamers dreaming with you? It's not going to happen, right? You got to get out there and talk about it, and goal setting. So that's all your function stuff, right? So you're out there doing it all and you feel like I'm doing everything, but it's not working. And the way I look at it is phase one would be your fuel. You've got to be tapped into source, right? And that involves meditation, mindfulness, sitting, which is like channeling. You're really just sitting with all that is, asking questions you want answers to, which I have had some incredible aha moments and realizations through. Been amazing. And self-awareness. If you do not develop a practice of self-awareness, you never become the observer of yourself. You never actually get to see how you're hiding from yourself, which is vital. Because, you know, like you mentioned before, there's people at levels that we can't even imagine being at, right? They have this huge following, they're on TV, or they have books written about them, and we feel like they're these just incredibly passionate people living this amazing life, but to them, it's all relative. They are where they are, right? So it's relative to them. Their growth is not done. They still want to grow more. They're not done yet, right? But if they don't develop, they can hide from themselves. No matter how powerful we are, no matter how much we've accomplished in the world, we as human beings are incredibly good at hiding from ourselves, right? And we create these little tiny tricks, these little guards to the prison, I like to call them. And they keep us in this space that we don't ever have to step out of, because we've convinced ourselves with a story, right, that we can stay there for whatever the excuses, the reasons, and they seem valid, like we have evidence to support them. We can just stay there and it's safe, or we don't really have to grow beyond it. But it's relative. It doesn't matter if you have not created anything for yourself or if you've created this huge empire. We can still do it, right? So strength, self-awareness,
like resonates with me, because I realized long ago that I was playing small. And even though I had accomplishments that, I mean, people will be like, hey, that's more than somebody would accomplish in a lifetime, like graduating from college at 19, running a $160 million business at age 21, you know, becoming a best-selling author, speaking on stages, being on television, like all of this stuff. But in my mind, it was just like, I knew, like deep down, I knew I was playing small, and there was so much more I could do and accomplish. But it was like, but I did this. Like, isn't that like, isn't that enough?
Yeah.
Like, no, not based off of the gifts you were given and your purpose for being here. no, it's not enough. That awareness was kind of a smack in the face.
Yeah. And that's such a personal journey, right? Because you have accomplished so much. And for some people, that would be enough. They would feel this sense of completion or contentment with where they are. And maybe they would feel content there for years. And then a little lingering voice is coming out like, wait a minute, there's more here. And it's really listening to that internal voice, right? Like you were just saying about this show. It's that little voice that keeps coming in. And the quicker we take action to jump in and say, yes, I'm going to do it. And we'll just figure it out as we go. I'm going to do it. And every step that you take moving forward in that voice, listening to that voice, then that growth happens, right? Then all those little fears come up, those little guards. You got to face them. You got to look at them.
You're right. Like, so why do we get stuck? Like, why do we get into this place where we do get in our own way? And then what's the tool to be able to get out of that, like, feeling like, because you put up a post just recently and it said, like, stuck is a state of mind. Yes. So, like, why are we getting there and continuing to come back there? A lot of us do.
Yeah. So first, let's talk about focus, which is the mind, right? So it's 4 pieces again. So we're talking about desire to not be there anymore. Because a lot of people don't have that. There's a comfort in being in hell, a hell you know, rather than a heaven you don't, right? So the desire has to be to not want to be there anymore. And you have to actually want it, not think you should want it, not your family wants you to not be in that space, but I want to be out of this space. Desire opens the door to possibility. You have got to have the desire to not be there, right? And belief systems, we get conditioned and we believe them. They are truth for us. That's the problem, right? So it becomes that internal prison where we believe it's true. Exposing yourself to other people, self-awareness, examining those belief systems, like really looking in the mirror, writing them down. Because when you write something down, the power of that is it's not just a passing thought in the mind. It's not like a cloud that just disappears. It's physical. You look at it. It's real, right? You wrote it down, so it's up here, and you have to acknowledge it in a different way. So really getting familiar with your belief systems, how you operate, and becoming that observer. So you're stepping out of believing it. You're not stuck in a space of like riding the roller coaster of emotions and being in it. You're not perpetuating the belief, but stepping out and observing yourself like you're looking at someone else, right? Getting really familiar with that and shifting your expectations, right? That's the third one, expectation, because you could have a belief that you can do it, but if your expectation is that the world's never going to bring it to you, your expectations have to be that you can manifest anything that you want and that it will happen. Your expectation is always that what you want will happen. Your expectations have to be clear. And your imagination, just like a child, we've got to evoke that imagination and play with it. Not to imagine the worst possibility, but to imagine like the best possibility, right? And these are all tools we forget. Like we have these as kids. This is how we crafted this person. This is how we dreamed ourselves into being, was imagining possibilities and, as teenagers playing with different roles of how to be and getting responses from people. And like my 2-year-old granddaughter, she's just learning, right? Her little brain is like learning. So she comes up to me and she wants something and she's like, ah. And so I do that back to her. Ah, like, what does that mean? And she goes, I don't know. And she's just laughing because she's just playing with like, did that work? This work? But we forget that we can still do that. We're not set in stone. Like we can still play. We're still malleable. Can play with these belief systems and do whatever we want with them, right? So another thing that I would say for getting unstuck is changing your relationship to success and failure. Because most people have a relationship with success and failure that's not healthy. The biggest component in it is that you have tied up your self-worth in success and failure. It means something about you if you fail or succeed. If I succeed, then everyone will see me this way. But if I fail, then everyone will see me this way. And I have to live with that. And it's really not about you. It's not personal, right? So if you think about success and failure like a staircase, success means I get to take a step up the staircase. And failure means I have to try again. It doesn't mean you get to step down. It doesn't mean you have to go back. It just means you have to try to take the step again. Well, that's not even scary. Do you want to try it again? Sure, I'll try it again.
As
Right?
children, like when we allow a child or a child's starting to learn how to walk, we don't say, oh, well, you fell, like stop, like quit, like you're not good enough
Yeah.
anymore. We
Yeah.
keep encouraging them to keep trying and try to walk and try to progress. But somewhere along the lines, we stop doing that for ourselves and start to tie our identity to whether we get it or don't get it, whether we are right or wrong. And that becomes who we are instead of just a part of the process of life. So I think that's a really powerful point for people to really become aware of, that does not have to define you, just like anything in your life doesn't have to define you. You're like so much more than that. So yeah, that's amazing.
And it comes back to like, what did you learn, right? We're always learning. And if you always take it as like, I'm learning something, like we have 6 children. So we've watched them all go from, toddlers falling down to like doing job interviews to having careers. And every job interview that they didn't get, they would go in and like do their best and study and do the resume and everything. They didn't get it. And it was always, okay, what did you learn? What did you feel like you did wrong, that you could have done better? Where did you see that something shifted? They weren't feeling you in that moment. It's always showing them, okay, but what did you learn? It's not a failure because you didn't get it. It's just a do-over, right? It's just a do-over. Just do it again. Try it again. And so when we start to gain perspective, like people watching your show right now, right? You're giving them an option to see a different perspective or a different way of looking at something. Exposure to people that think the way you think. I always view life like a Facebook feed. You can block people, you can mute people, you can change your feed. You are in control of your feed, right? So why are you not taking control of it? Why are you acting like you're subject to this feed? You are not.
Yeah.
I don't want you in my life. I need to block you because you're planting seeds in my brain I don't want there, right?
Yes.
And we can do that on Facebook too.
And speaking of Facebook, you did this post, and I have to read this because it was so awesome. You said, stop watering dead plants. Habits can become madness. Self-awareness allows you to see what is rather than what was. You said, stop watering dead plants. If it's not working, stop. Just
yeah, it's okay. Maybe it's time to stop. That's like getting stuck. You're not seeing what's in front of you. You're seeing what was, and we used to do an exercise where you can do it with your family, you can do it with your friends, you can do it with your husband, your wife, whoever, and you sit before them and you look into each other's eyes and you try to be with them in this moment right now as if you've met them for the first time. Like, let's let everything go in the past. Let's let everything just drop away. And you're just seeing this human right now. And you begin to realize, I have this whole elaborate story about this human in my head. That's not technically true. It's just all of our history that I've compiled into a story about them. And now I'm just seeing them for what they are right now in this moment, right? So that relationship could be a dead plant, but you're not seeing what's right in front of you. You're not seeing the dead plant. You're still seeing the history, and we've done so much and we've tried so hard and we have kids and all the reasons, and this has to work. And maybe it's really dead. Maybe it's really it's not going to do anything, but you're still operating from the past. You're still operating as if all of this is true, but you're not seeing what's right in front of you, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, Misty, I love you. And this is so much about being able to live in the moment, have self-awareness to get to that place where you can get unstuck and create the life that you love, which we all deserve to be able to do. And she truly is a badass love magnet. So if you're looking for some daily inspiration, obviously you can see that she's got like the tips, the tools, the processes to really help you, which is why I really appreciate her so much. But you can go to her website at mistysummers.com. You can get daily text inspiration, daily email inspiration, and find out more about her personal coaching because, like I said, everybody needs a coach.
Yes.
Yeah, and then too, if there's any other like social media, things like that you want people to reach out to you to, please let them know.
Every social media handle is just Misty Summers Official. So you can just look at that on anything. You'll find me on there.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Thank
easy.
you so much.
Thank you, Havilah.
My absolute pleasure. And as we know, when we share our stories, we all get a chance to learn, to live, and to love a little bit more. So keep being proof of what's possible. Thank you so much for tuning in to Havilah and Friends. I'm Havilah Malone, and you have an amazing day. Bye.